Why didn't you raise this earlier? You did. They still blamed you. You said, not heard. If you've ever heard the phrase, why didn't you raise this earlier, and you're silently fuming because you did, this is for you. Like when you flagged that server upgrade 3 months ago, and now it's an urgent fire drill. Tired of being ignored, then blamed when things go wrong. That frustration usually stems from one thing. Your emails aren't vague, they're invisible. You're not being ignored, your message is. But what if you could change that? What if you could get answers, not silence, and finally see results? Here's the real problem. You're hiding key information in vague wording, passive sentences, dense text, and let's be honest, being a bit British about it. And if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Thousands of engineers go through this every day. In this video, you'll learn how to get answers, not silence, by ditching weak language and speaking with clarity. To put it bluntly, stop hiding your light under a bushel and start getting results. Hi, I'm Chris. I've stacked shelves, run companies, and spent years as an engineer writing docs so clear that they still get used 10 years later. Let me show you how to write like that, so your ideas actually get heard. Part 1. The hidden problem. A lot of smart engineers write like they're apologizing for existing. You'll see phrases like, I just think maybe we should consider, this probably isn't a big deal, but it might make sense possibly to optimize that part. I get it, I really do. I'm British. We hedge around things all the time. It drives my wife crazy. She's Croatian. No, I think. No, maybe we should. When she has something to say, you know. When you say, I just think maybe we should consider, here's what your boss is. Blah, 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 blah is probably not important. How it plays out. You say, I just think maybe. Your manager interrupts, cool, so not important then. And what happens? Nothing. No one replies. The issue lingers for weeks. And some arse eventually says, why didn't you raise this earlier? You did. But your words were too polite, too vague, or too passive to land. Be like my wife and say what you mean. Be clear, be direct, be Croatian. Part 2. Why we soften everything. We're not trying to be vague, we're trying to be nice, safe, low conflict. We think we're being diplomatic, but we're actually being forgettable. People don't read between the lines. When you say, it might be worth looking into, what they hear is, low priority, optional, ignore. When you write, this query might be a little slow in some edge cases, they assume it's probably fine. Now try this instead. This query is slow when running high volume inputs. We should optimize it before the next release. That's not rude, that's being clear. And in teams where everyone is swamped and scanning fast, clarity is a kindness. Look, I spent years being nice in my writing, softening my points, hedging my thoughts until I realized something. My ideas were often stronger than the people getting heard. I worked as a test engineer in pneumatics. Some of the loudest voices weren't the best engineers, but they got listened to. So I stopped apologizing for myself. I started writing with confidence and clarity. No fluff, no maybe, no just a thought. Things changed fast. I got promoted. One of my recommendations led to an entirely new lab worth about $500,000 in today's money. All I did was stop writing like a doormat. Turns out clarity beats confidence theatre. Engineers lose impact another way too. Even when trying to be clear, we often bury our best insights halfway down the page. Part 3. Buried points. Here's the kind of sentence that makes people age 5 years before the full stop. After reviewing system performance over the last quarter and looking into impact of various factors, including I/O load, CPU usage, and memory allocation, I observed a trend that could suggest some level of inefficiency, possibly related to, by the time we get to the point, everyone's lost the thread and the will to live. Here's a better version. System performance is bottlenecked by I/O load. Here's the data. Leading with the insight earns attention and trust. Start doing this in your emails. Lead with the point right away. Put it in the subject line. Put it in the first sentence. Repeat it, why not? Once I made that shift, people started replying faster and taking action sooner. Oh, one thing you'll notice is that I don't talk in a passive voice, and you shouldn't either. Which leads us into passive voice, part 4, and mystery actors. You've seen these classics. it was decided that the rollout would be delayed. The service was updated to support caching. Great. By who? Was it you, the team, a squirrel drunk on overripe pumpkins? Instead, write like this. We delayed the rollout to fix a caching bug. Alice updated the service to support caching. Now you've got a clear who, what and why. When you name the actor, people know who to ask, who to thank, who to talk to if things go sideways. Remember, credit freely, blame rarely. Let's look at being too verbose. Part 5, too many words. Engineers often over-explain because they're trying to be precise. But long passages will turn your reader off. Compare these two. In light of recent load test results, which were performed to validate the service's ability to scale under high traffic, I believe we may need to make some architectural adjustments going forward. This is like dragging a sofa upstairs. Compare it to this. Load tests show the service won't scale under high traffic. We need to rework the architecture. It's shorter, it's cleaner, it's more honest. A good test. Can you cut the sentence in half and still keep the point? If yes, cut it. Then ask how many words are just fluff. Can you make it even tighter? Tests show the service won't scale. We need to rework the architecture. You might think this version loses detail, but if it sits in a paragraph where the context is already clear, it will work. Look, my brilliant boss had one major flaw. His emails were like novellas. I often found myself editing them, cutting everything that wasn't essential to get to the core message. His emails were 800 words. I'd cut them down to 3 bullet points and the world didn't end. Why not try this on your next email? You'll be surprised how much you can cut and how much clearer your message becomes. Now let's talk about the biggest email sin, vague requests that never get answered. Part 6, vague requests. Yes, I know project managers get a bad rap, but at one point I was juggling 7 projects at once. That meant constant emails, chasing updates, ordering parts, checking resources. Even with 200 emails a day in my inbox, I still didn't get the answers I wanted. Stress doesn't even cover it. Then I changed how I asked. Here's an example of the kind of thing I would say. Let me know what you think. Open to feedback, thoughts. But these didn't get answers. They aren't calls to action. They're just shrugs. When I chased, people would say, I didn't realize you were asking a question. Or, oh, you wanted me to reply? Let me show you how I changed everything and reduced my mailbox chatter significantly. Can we ship this Thursday, August the 9th? Is this the best way to retry failed requests? Please check the config part, especially the caching behavior. The questions have gone from vague to specific. If the email is going to more than one person, name the person who should answer the question. Dave, have you ordered the hardware? Anna, can I have the cost by Friday? Stop giving them excuses for not answering. Be specific. Nail the bastards down. Part 7. Why this matters. You're not writing to fill space. You're writing to get things done. If your message is slow, vague or unclear, you delay everything. Design decisions stall. Bugs go unfixed. Emails bounce around for days. Want to sound smart and get results? Do these 5 things every single time. 1. Be direct. 2. Cut the fluff. 3. Lead with the point. 4. Ditch passive voice. And 5. Ask clear questions. Write like someone who's too busy to write twice. So when you write with clarity, confidence and structure, people reply faster. Actions gets taken. You won't look pushy or impatient. You'll look like someone who's getting things done. Someone who's in control. No more why didn't you say something? Just results from your first email. If you want a fast way to catch this stuff in your own writing, I made Jargon Buster Toolkit. I created this toolkit because I wasted years writing the wrong way. Don't make my mistakes. Check the link below. See you next time. Bye.